The show dives into the aftermath of World War I and the challenges of raising the next generation of Duttons. 1923 was an immediate hit, and it ended on a major cliffhanger that had fans begging for more. Luckily, it was quickly renewed for a second season, and production is already underway. While we don't have an exact premiere date yet, it's safe to say that 1923 Season 2 will pick up right where the first season left off, continuing the Dutton family saga during a turbulent time in American history. Now, let's talk about the future of the Yellowstone universe. Sheridan isn't done with the Duttons just yet, and there are some exciting new spin-offs in the works. One of the upcoming shows is The Madison, which was initially titled 2024. The show will explore themes of grief and human connection following a New York City family in Montana's Madison River Valley. While Matthew McConaughey was once rumored to be in talks to star in The Madison, that deal didn't pan out, but we've got some exciting names lined up for the cast, including Patrick J. Adams, Elle Chapman, and Beau Garrett. It's still unclear how the Duttons will tie into this spin-off, but fans are eager to see how Sheridan continues the legacy of the family dynasty in this new era. And then, the spin-off that's sure to get fans excited is 1944. Given how pivotal the 1940s were for the United States, you can bet that this show will bring more drama, hardship, and struggles for the Duttons as they try to hold on to their land. Sheridan has hinted that he's been brewing up several ideas for more prequels, but 1944 is the first one to officially get the green light. Like the previous series, it will be produced by MTV Entertainment Studios and 101 Studios, so expect the same high-quality storytelling and production value we've seen in Yellowstone, 1883, and 1923. Finally, let's not forget about Four Sixes, another spin-off that's still in the works. This series will focus on the real-life Four Sixes Ranch, which was featured in Yellowstone and is located in Texas. Jefferson White, who plays Jimmy in Yellowstone, was set to star in the spin-off, but the show has been put on hold for now. Sheridan actually purchased the Four Sixes Ranch, which is a real working ranch with deep roots in Texas history, so he's taking his time to make sure the series is handled with care. As he told The Hollywood Reporter, "You have to respect the lineage." So while Four Sixes might not be coming out anytime soon, it's definitely something to keep on your radar. Will 1944 need to go through some recasting? It makes sense then to ask which characters from 1923 will we see again and which ones will need to be recast. You already know that each Yellowstone prequel is providing us with a glimpse into different generations of the Dutton family if you've been following the show. First, there were the first Duttons, James and Margaret, played by Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. 1883 introduced us to them. Then we watched as those with their own kids, Elsa and John, braved the Oregon Trail with them, then settled in the land that would become the legendary Dutton Ranch and built that place. Next came 1923, which moved the next generation. James and Margaret died, and after World War I, the ranch was run by James's brother, Jacob, and his wife, Cara. We also met a grown-up John Dutton with his younger brother, Spencer, a World War I vet preyed on by what he saw in battle. Right now, we're about to meet yet another generation of Duttons, and sure enough, be in for another dramatic and intense ride. With this in mind, which familiar 1923 faces can we expect to cross over to 1944? This is where it gets a little tricky. Since 1923 and 1944 are 20 years apart, we're going to see some big changes. Many of the characters will be a lot older, which will require some, if not a lot, to be rewritten and recast with new actors to reflect their age. Let's start with the Duttons, who may or may not still be around. If Jacob and Cara Dutton were the power couple from 1923, they'd have both died by 1944. So unfortunately, Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren probably won't be back. That said, we can't completely rule out the possibility of flashbacks, but for the main storyline, it seems like we'll be moving on to the younger generation. Now, what about John and Spencer Dutton? John, who we saw as a key player in 1923, could potentially return in 1944, but as an older, more seasoned version of himself. Spencer, on the other hand, might not make it to the new series. Based on what we know from 1923, Spencer is struggling with some serious trauma from the war, and it's unclear if he'll survive long enough to see 1944. One character we're almost certain to see is Jack Dutton. Played by Darren Mann in 1923, Jack is John's son and Jacob's great-nephew, and he's deeply committed to the ranch. By 1944, it's highly likely that Jack will be the one running the Dutton family's vast Montana estate, stepping into a leadership role as the head of the ranch. Darren Mann could return to play the older version of Jack, but depending on how much time has passed, it's possible that we'll see the character played by someone else with a bit of makeup magic to age him up. And let's not forget about Elizabeth Strafford Dutton, Jack's fierce wife, played by Michelle Randolph. Given how strong-willed and resilient she is, we can easily imagine her sticking around and playing a major role in 1944. Like Jack, she could either be played by Randolph again or potentially recast. One key character who hasn't yet been introduced in 1923 but will be central to 1944 is John Dutton Sr., the father of Kevin Costner's John Dutton from the original Yellowstone series. From what we know, John Sr. is expected to be born sometime in the 1920s, meaning he'll be a young man in 1944. This could give us a fascinating look at the next link in the Dutton family chain, as we witness how John Sr. grows into the patriarchal figure we've heard about in Yellowstone. This is one of the most exciting aspects of 1944. It's going to help fill in even more gaps in the Dutton family tree, connecting the dots between the characters we've already come to know and love. Other projects of Taylor Sheridan. The work of cowboy storyteller Taylor Sheridan extends beyond just one genre. Sheridan's clout on TV and film doesn't end with ranches and Western drama. His Yellowstone universe is merely his crown jewel. Coming with a long line of hit projects such as critically acclaimed movies as well as hit TV shows, Sheridan has established himself as one of the most recognizable names in Hollywood at this time. Did you know that Taylor Sheridan's first directorial project wasn't a Western, but it was actually a horror film named Vile? Technically, it's the first film he has directed, but isn't really his true debut because he doesn't really consider it as such. And here's the kicker. It's not like anything he's ever done. As a brutal, hard-to-watch horror story, Vile is about a group of people who get kidnapped and forced to torture each other for survival. Sheridan stepped in to support a friend who put up some money for the project. He never let anyone know the extent to which he was responsible for the film. He simply felt it was more a learning experience than anything else. This is where Sheridan starts to make waves, though. Shot in 2015, Sheridan penned the screenplay for chief antagonist Sicario, Denis Villeneuve's pulse-pounding crime thriller. It's about an FBI agent who becomes sucked into a U.S. government task force aimed at Mexican drug cartels. Featuring Josh Brolin, Daniel Kaluuya, and Benicio del Toro, the cast is absolutely packed with talent. Next up is Hell or High Water, which feels much more in line with Sheridan's signature style. This neo-Western heist film follows two brothers who start robbing banks to save their family's ranch. Of course, this catches the attention of a pair of Texas Rangers, and the chase is on. The film is packed with tension and moral complexity, blending action with heartfelt moments. Sheridan's script earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Original Screenplay, and it's easy to see why. This movie is top-tier storytelling. Now we get to what Sheridan himself considers his proper directorial debut, Wind River. This thriller, starring Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen, follows two agents investigating a murder on a Native American reservation in Wyoming. The story is dark and gripping, with Sheridan delivering both as the writer and the director. Wind River is often grouped with Sicario and Hell or High Water as part of an unofficial trilogy because of its similar themes and tone. If you liked those two, this one is an absolute must-watch. Then, following the success of the first Sicario, Sheridan took on writing and directing duties for the sequel, Sicario: Day of the Soldado. Emily Blunt didn't return, so the focus shifts to Josh Brolin's and Benicio del Toro's characters as they deal with the chaos of drug cartels smuggling terrorists across the border. While it doesn't quite reach the heights of the original, it's still a solid, gritty thriller. The dynamic between Brolin and del Toro alone makes it worth watching, even if it falls a bit short of its predecessor's brilliance. In 2021, Sheridan was brought on to rewrite Without Remorse, a Tom Clancy adaptation that stars Michael B. Jordan as John Clark. The film, which landed on Amazon Prime, was meant to be the start of a new cinematic universe based on Clancy's works. Sheridan helped modernize the script, originally written in the early 90s. Director Stefano Sollima praised Sheridan's ability to add depth to the characters and bring a sharper focus on the geopolitical aspects of the story. While the movie didn't launch the Clancy universe as hoped, Jordan's performance and Sheridan's tweaks made it worth checking out if you're into military action flicks. Those Who Wish Me Dead is Sheridan's second time writing and directing a movie. It stars Angelina Jolie as a smoke jumper, a firefighter trained to parachute into wildfires, who's trying to protect a young boy from assassins after they kill his father. The plot is intriguing, and Jolie and John Bernthal bring solid performances, but it doesn't quite hit the mark like Sheridan's other works. It's good, but not great. You won't regret watching it, but it's not the first movie you'll think of when someone asks for a Sheridan recommendation. Beyond Yellowstone and its spin-offs, Sheridan has also created plenty of other successful TV shows. Mayor of Kingstown began in 2021, and this gritty drama stars Jeremy Renner as Mike McCluskey, the unofficial mayor of a small town dominated by its prison. Sheridan co-created the show with Hugh Dillon, and it's already been renewed for multiple seasons. Tulsa King first aired in 2022 and starred Sylvester Stallone. This series follows a mafia capo who sets up shop in Tulsa after being released from prison. Sheridan created the show but has taken a more hands-off role in its production. Then came Special Ops: Lioness in 2023. This action-packed series starring Zoe Saldana and Nicole Kidman follows a female CIA operative navigating the complexities of life in a high-stakes military operation. The show has been renewed for a second season, so there's more intense spy drama on the way. Sheridan isn't slowing down anytime soon. In addition to 1944 and The Madison, he has several other projects in development. Landman is one of them. This drama about the oil industry in West Texas will star Jon Hamm, Demi Moore, and Billy Bob Thornton. It's expected to premiere in November 2024 and promises to be a deep dive into the cutthroat world of oil drilling. So hang tight, because 1944 is absolutely happening. It's just going to take a little longer to get here.